I think we're going to get started here. All right, can everybody hear me?
Okay.
Rudy.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on this beautiful 1st of September, at least in San Diego, beautiful 1st of March. Then we are going to present a training by a gentleman, Dino Perugino. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Today's training is going to be on a commercial. It's on CDL, a training resource. So I'd like to thank everybody. It looks like we have a lot of people from different chapters here, so thank you guys for joining us. My name is Rob Tobin. I am the San Diego chapter president, 2022 president. I also have the treasurers on here, Jose. My vice president, Rob Manriquez, is on here, and the MSA board, executive board president, Rudy Cancio, is also joining us. I would like to first, Rob, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen. We have a flag. We're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's see if he's. There we are. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America,
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty,
Justice for all.
for all. Thank you, gentlemen and women. All right, so before we get started with Dino's presentation, there's a couple things that I wanted to touch on real quick for everybody involved, not just in San Diego, but outside of San Diego. We're coming up on the scholarship deadline. We have not had a lot of email blasts, but I would like to remind everybody that scholarships are available. So it's a matter of going on the website and you complete a scholarship application, includes your current enrollment, 2 letters of recommendation by your supervisors or someone you trust that will give you a good recommendation. Summary of applicants' background, some interests, goals, and achievements will need to be included. But yeah, this is scholarship. I highly recommend you guys take advantage of it, especially if you're pursuing a degree in an institute of higher learning. It's very beneficial. And as we all know, who couldn't use some more money, especially for going to school? We're all working men going to school. In the off hours, it can be difficult. So take advantage of that, please. Submit these. Rudy, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they're due March 15th, but we could potentially extend that to March 31st.
Yes, that's normally the deadlines are on actually May 15th. I'm sorry, May 15th.
May 15th.
Yeah,
okay.
I gave you that wrong information.
Okay, well that's perfect. You guys got a little bit of time. Please, if you know somebody who's going to school and could use a little bit of extra money, please have them submit an application. Let's see. The second order of business is the San Diego chapter will be hosting a golf tournament on April 29th. It's a Friday at what is it called? I keep wanting to say Riverwalk, and we ended up having to change it.
That was the Carlton Oaks.
The Carlton Oaks, that's right. We moved it to Carlton Oaks in Santee. We will be having our golf tournament. More information on our website, MSA SD. We'll be getting a flyer out shortly. We'll send out an email blast with the golf tournament information. Finally, we're still looking. As everyone knows, San Diego chapter is hosting our annual conference this year. We're going ahead with it for our in-person 52nd annual conference and equipment trade show. It'll be starting on September the 11th and run through the 14th. So we're looking for some volunteers. If anybody in locally or would like to help out as much as you can via computer, we're looking for some volunteers to help out with some, low hanging fruit type things. I will post in the chat. I'll post my email address as well as Jose and Rob. If you guys are interested, have some time to help out with some things, please feel free to reach out. Even if that's, suggesting some trainings, maybe putting us in touch with some trainers, some things that you guys have done before and would like to see again in the conference setting. Please reach out. I think that's all the news and notes I have. I'm going to now hand it over to Dino. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, sir.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Basically, I'm going to cover a little bit of the information on the new Department of Motor Vehicles commercial driver's license requirements. This is a new DOT FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. As of February 7th, all applicants wanting to obtain a commercial driver's license basically have to jump through a couple of hoops. The first one is we have to do what they call a theory training. This training is, we have a third-party provider that does it through the FMCSA, which I think is about a 10-hour course. It's done online, which I thought was better for the agencies. You have to pass the course by 80%. Once you pass the theory portion, they are also registered on the training provider. Then you can actually go to the DMV and get your CDL permit. So we can't go to the DMV and get a permit unless we complete the theory training. So that's the very first step of it. Once we have the theory training completed, then we are also a training provider for the behind the wheel portion of the training. We still do our written seminar every other month or so to help drivers to get their permits, or many agencies just go to the DMV, get their CDL permits. Once they have their permits in their hands, then we can start the behind the wheel training. I know we're scheduled to go up to El Cajon to prepare some drivers there for their commercial licenses. Any operator who established his CDL permit before February 7th, everything is grandfathered. They're not required to do the theory, anything through the FMCSA at this point. So they can just go schedule, go to DMV and get their commercial licenses. Our phase one of the training, of course, is the phase one was the theory portion. Phase two is the behind the wheel portion. Just as we've done before for cities and agencies, basically we would need a copy of their CDL permits and their contact phone numbers. Once we have that information, then what we do is we schedule and confirm DMV appointments. Once we have an appointment confirmed, then we'll backlog the training to that date. So for example, if the DMV is on a Friday, we'll probably finish training on Wednesday, and on Friday we'll go in to the DMV. Both programs, the theory and the behind the wheel, is basically once it's completed, we have to contact the Federal Motor Carrier, the training provider, and give the student's name and information. Once that's on the computers, the state or federal computers, when we go to the DMV, whether it's the written exam or the behind the wheel training, their name will be there. They'll allow them to start the behind the wheel or the written exams. Our training basically consists of the preparation, pre-trip, air brakes, walk around, the behind the wheel training, hands-on doing alley docking, parallel skills, requirements, and road. Only California is required to have a minimum number of hours. The rest of the United States, it's based on proficiency. So it's the joy of living in California. Not an issue for us because we've always done more training than is required. Once we finish the training, once again, we will contact the FMCSA, the training provider, and put your driver's name and information into the log. And then on that Friday, we go to DMV, we take our tests, and we come home. And that's about the gist of it. The only major difference is the theory class. Do you have any questions?
I do, Dino. So one of my guys went to go take his Class B test, and he actually went to go take a Class A test, Class A exam, and he's taking a hazmat endorsement, so he needs to take the theory test for that, for the hazmat endorsement. But if
Yes.
it's just for air brakes, he does not need to take the theory test, all right? For a Class B with air brakes.
No. Any commercial driver's license, Class A or B, you have to take the theory test. As a matter of fact, I just secured the FMCSA hazmat class. We just did 4 guys with Burbank. So you would be taking 2 theory sessions, one for your Class A or B and one for the hazardous materials endorsement. The hazmat is only an endorsement, doesn't require a behind the wheel drive. It's just doing the theory class and then going into the DMV and taking the written exam.
So if they're gonna go just take the basic Class B test, no endorsements, nothing, they still need to take the theory exam?
If they got their permits before February 7th, they're grandfathered in. If they haven't gotten their permits before February 27th, and they want to go in tomorrow, they will not accept them. They'll want them to complete the theory portion. And then they will look on the FMCSA, the training provider, and say, yep, his name is there. He's completed. He passed with 80%. Here's your test. You can now take the exam.
Perfect. Thank you, Dino. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hey, Dino, Kurt Clucker is asking, how many hours does California require?
They want 15 hours. They want 10 hours behind the wheel and 5 hours what they call range or pad training. We also we're basically keeping a log now. So when we hire students, because a lot of cities will work with their guys prior for us coming there. So we're going to ask all cities to log the time that they worked. Maybe they took them out on the road for an hour here and there and kind of went through the air brakes. So we're going to log all that time. So we usually train like Monday, 2 or 3 days a week. And the day that we're not there, we want the supervisor, if available, allow them in the morning to, maybe he needs to work on his alley docking or, take him behind the wheel. So we will log all that behind the wheel time with the behind the wheel time that we utilize to meet the new requirements.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? You guys can go ahead and ask Dino directly or put in the chat box.
Yeah, how would this work for a current CDL driver that wants to add a passenger endorsement?
It'll require a drive test, so they'll have to take the theory class for the passenger endorsement. So
Okay.
anything that requires a drive.
So they can make their own appointment? Or
For the theory class? Yes,
No,
they can go
currently-
online to,
CDL license and they want to add a passenger. The passenger requires an additional drive. So what type of
Right.
training do you use, or could they just schedule an appointment?
well, he'll have to get a permit again for the passenger endorsement. So since it's after February 7th, when he goes to establish his permit, they're going to ask him, have you completed the theory class for passenger endorsements? So he's basically going to have to jump through the hoops to
Right,
get his
right.
passenger endorsement.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. So just to clarify, this new requirement about the theory exam is for new drivers. Is that correct?
Yes, it's identified as entry-level driver training, ELDT, entry-level driver training.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And there are training providers. One thing that I did a lot of research on this when we started this because we knew it was coming. I still get emails once or twice a week. There are training providers that want to do this for your drivers at $600 for the class, which I thought was just outrageous. Most of them are between 350 to 600. Like I said, I got together with the FMCSA. They've been doing this for other training classes online for over 10 years. And I've got it down to 159 for the class A or B and 189 for the hazardous material endorsement. And I'm sure we can do the passenger. I just haven't had a passenger requirement yet, as of yet. But that's where we're at on our pricing. But you could always go online to see if you can find a provider that would be, I think the cheapest one I found in my research was about 200 and up. So,
You know, Rob
I know
Tobin would
it-
like to know what credentials does the supervisor or instructor need to be able to track hours?
he just need a commercial license equal to or greater than the student or driver that he is training with or going out on the road with. So
And as
usually
far-
like a senior operator that, you know, that has a class A, he can now go with your guy with your class A. He just has to have equal to or greater license.
And then the follow-up question, does this training fully prepare you to take the test?
Yes, our training from the day we show up to the day we come home, we're done. To turnkey operation. All of our training is done in-house at your location with your equipment, so that when they're done, they know how to operate the equipment. They know how to, you know, be safe in inspections and driving, and, you know, special things about the equipment. You know, for example, a Vector truck has its own things that you need to worry about, such as rollover rates and things like that. So we specify the training to the type of equipment that you guys utilize.
How many days does that usually take?
Oh, hang on, let me close this. Sorry about that. The class training takes about 6 days. From the first day we go to the behind the wheel training. And then we go up to 3 drivers. So 2 drivers, we use 7 days, 3 drivers, we use 8 days, just to have the extra time for the behind the wheel time. The class A drivers are done in 7 days, 7 to 8 days for 2 drivers, and 8 to 9 days for 3 drivers. Once again, depending on the driver, the behind the wheel time that we need to complete.
We can't get that.
Is that done consecutive days?
It can be if you like. A lot of cities, they would like to work 2-3 days a week. That way they get the guys started. They give them a day to, you know, maybe they need to work on the air brakes a little bit, which is good. It gives them some time to practice what they've been taught. So we'll make 2 days here, maybe 3 days there, then 2 days, and then go to DMV. But it can be done, you know, 4 or 5 days a week, depending on how you can, you know, your schedules are very flexible for us as far as the training dates.
And sorry, one last question. Is that 159 per person, or is that for a group rate as well?
The 59 is for the theory class, for the class A and B, that's per person.
Okay.
And the hazardous materials endorsement class is 189 per person.
So Dino, just to clear the air, because I have a couple guys in my office right now asking about the Class B. So anybody who's grandfathered in, if they want to get an endorsement onto their Class B or Class A license, they would have to take that theory test, right?
If they did it before February 7th, no. If
No,
they
I'm
did it
talking about
after,
now. I'm talking about now. Like they want to get, like, let's say they want to add air brakes to their endorsements. They'd have to get
But-
that theory test, right?
and they haven't gone to DMV yet,
No,
and they have a permit.
no, they had their license. They had their Class B license with no
Oh,
endorsement.
they had a Class B license. Air brakes is an endorsement. It will require a drive test.
So they would have to take that theory test then,
They
right?
would have to take the theory class, because when they're gonna come in to do a drive, they're going, yes.
Okay.
Let me make a note of this. Add air brakes. I'm sorry, who was this that asked the question?
Alfred Onate.
Okay. I'm gonna call Sacramento on that just to make sure, but my understanding is anytime the driver has to go in and take a drive,
Yeah,
They won't grant it. They'll have him do the Class B theory class,
okay,
and then he can take the written, and then he can go forward.
got you. Got
Um,
you, okay.
can I get your phone number and I can,
Yeah,
I
I'll
just
send
want
it,
to verify with
I'll send it to you
Sacramento.
through the chat, Dino. I'll send it to you through the chat.
Oh,
Hey,
perfect.
Dino.
Absolutely. Great.
Dino, I'll get it to you. I'll get it
Okay,
to Rudy, who can get it to you, so it's fine.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. I made a note that way I can call Sacramento and make sure, because even they sometimes are, the most
Hey.
consistent thing about the DMV is they're inconsistent sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and I just want to clear the air with my guys over here because there's a lot of confusion going on with that. They don't
Yeah,
want
no.
to they don't want to get endorsements because they don't want to have to pay for that theory exam or even have to go through it. You know what I mean? So they're
Right.
they're just like, oh, I'm fine with my regular Class B. I don't need to get an endorsement for it. Which we want them to get their air brakes, at least their air brakes endorsement.
Okay. So they have a Class B without air brakes endorsement. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
They have a regular
Okay,
Class
yeah.
B with no endorsements.
Yeah. The other thing too, and I hate to say this, was just the inconsistencies. If the student goes to the DMV and says, hi, I have a Class B, I just want to add air brakes. Can I take my test now? There are many times, yeah, go over there, take your test. And after that, they'll schedule a drive test. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing it, but that's just, the folks there don't necessarily are up to speed sometimes.
Yeah. All right. Beautiful, Dino. Thank you. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Yes,
problem.
sir.
Hey, Dino, Richard Alcorn says, please verify that behind the wheel training hours must be with a registered instructor.
Well, it's actually a licensed operator that has a CDL. The registered is basically a registered instructor is someone that has equal to or greater license. They're not requiring any hours of like instructor training or anything like that. In the old days, instructors had to have a license, and now it's just, when we fill out our thing, it's just whoever has a license can be an instructor today, but they have to have an equal to or greater than license.
And then Kevin Coffey wants to know, is there a study guide or prep material for the theory test?
No, the whole course is done online. So everything is done, like I said, I haven't done the course myself, but I have probably 6 or 7 students in the middle of it, and one's I think up to 80% of it done. And it's just, from what I see, they just go through, they explain different portions. The theory portion also, the DOT put this together for the over-the-road drivers. So they're not really tailored for us city operations. So they're going to talk about scales and fuel taxes and fifth wheels and stuff that our city guys will never ever utilize, but they just kind of put it in one package. And even, like I said, even many cities now, they're automatic transmissions. So, the 10 hours, it's not a problem, but if you're driving a stick shift, I can see you want to have more hours to master the transmissions, but that's kind of where they're at with it.
Okay. Any more questions?
Quick question for Dino. So are you part of a organization, or is it a business that's in charge of?
I am I'm a registered training provider through the FMCSA. So if you look at the training provider registry, you will, and this is how we would get started anyways, you would look up our company, we only do private, so we have to look under the private, not the publics. And we've been approved for the training, and we would just start behind the wheel and getting them prepped.
And what's the cost for to prepare a new driver to get a Class A or a B?
Well, the theory class it's its own cost. The behind the wheel training for a Class A is $5,400 for one driver. 5,200 each for two drivers, and 5,000 for three drivers, and whatever travel time to get the instructor to your location.
Sounds good, thank you.
Please. And then the Class B courses is the same. It's 4,000, 4,250, and 4,500 for one, 4,250 for each driver for two guys, and 4,000 for three drivers, each guy. And like I said, if you guys contact me, I can definitely send you a price guide and an outline of the services and also the outline of the training requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have an email where we could contact you? Or to
I
get
do.
the cost?
My email, I'm sorry?
An email so that we could contact you or get the spreadsheet of the cost and all that?
Sure.
You know?
Yes. My email is Dino, D-I-N-O hyphen C-T-S, Charlie Tango Sierra, C-T-S at Verizon.net.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You know, I put your email address in the
Yes, sir.
chat board. So if anybody did write
Okay.
that down, it's in the chat board, guys.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, guys, one of the things also with this law, it's gonna make a big difference on your hiring. You know, a lot of cities, I know Chula Vista does that. When they have new applicants, they require at least to have your permit. With the costs and that person being on probation for 1 year, you know, it's gonna be a little bit different for cities, how they, when they do hiring, whether you're gonna have to have a Class B or a Class A license at the time of hire. So I know there's a lot of, because it does get into your budget. So, you know, you'll get the person a license and maybe they won't pass probation, but, you know, that's a whole different ballgame. So just keep in mind that.
Yeah, agree, Rudy. So for the city of San Diego, we give new entry levels, utility worker positions, 6 months to get their commercial license. So we have our own in-house training team, but you know, it's only 2 people, so they get overwhelmed, and they're always give priority to fire and safety. So we're kind of being pushed to the end. And that's the whole reason why I'm trying to seek, you know, outside training just to comply with this. So.
Yeah, I want to say something. Dino, I don't know if you remember one of my employees, David Alvarez. He just recently took one of your courses.
Okay.
And he said you helped him out a lot. And he went for his Class A, I think he said, and he already got his permit. He passed his permit already. So he's waiting for his drive test right now. He said
Oh, perfect, perfect,
your
very
course
good.
was
Yeah, we do that one, that we do a seminar. We do that out here. Now, if you have 4 drivers or more, if, you know, MSA can get together and pool some drivers that are needing to prepare to take the written exam. We would obviously come out there and do that presentation for them. And, you know, I have all my dumb jokes and, you know, just gives them a pretty good heads up instead of just giving the driver the book and saying, okay, figure it out. It's a big help.
No, he said your class was very insightful, very, very informative, and he liked it a lot, and he appreciated all your help, Dino.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate working with the city guys. On another note, I noticed we've been doing a lot of what we call a behind the wheel driver evaluation as part of your hiring. So you do the interviews and so forth, and we come in as a third party and do a behind the wheel driver eval for commercial operators. That way you can kind of see the score sheet, see where they're at. It's just another tool that the cities have been starting to utilize to try to get good qualified applicants. to come into the cities. So something to think about.
So you had mentioned that you give a presentation, and we could potentially pool multiple people together and come watch this. How long is it, and what exactly does that presentation prepare you for?
The presentation is for the written exam. It will cover general knowledge, air brakes, tanker, and combination endorsement. It's an 8-hour course. It's done in 1 day, and the cost is $215 per driver, and then whatever travel time for the examiner to the instructor to get out there. And it's a 1 day course.
That will prepare them for the written permit exam.
Yes, I call it's a workshop. They'll be, I mean, they still need to study, you know, and read the book and so on, but it'll give them a huge leg up on, because as I tell them, they'll start reading the book and they'll read something. Oh, I get that. You know, why didn't Dino say that? Well, Dino tried to say that, but you didn't catch it. So it's a big help on getting those guys, instead of going to the DMV and then coming back and then going to the DMV. I mean, we probably 95% of the students that we do this course for all pass the very first time. Every once in a while, and you know, it's funny, the guy will fail. Oh, I failed my car test. So they had to go back and take the car test again. But it's a very helpful class as far as getting them started on prepping for their written exams.
Do you have those on a schedule somewhere, or do you just, as soon as you get enough people together, or you just as needed?
Yeah, it's as soon as we get enough. I'm here in, you know, Los Angeles area. So as soon as we get, you know, 4, 5, 6 guys, then we book the room. We have a room in Monrovia that we do the class at a hotel. But we have done it for cities, you know, like Burbank has 4 drivers, so we're going to go to Burbank and just do their 4 guys there at their location. So some of the cities have more drivers, so we go there. But I thought maybe the MSA might be able to, as you said, pool the drivers. So if you got, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys, whatever you need, we can definitely come out there, and that would be, instead of having them come all the way down here for a seminar.
Do you have a maximum amount of drivers that you'd like to? I mean, 10, 15?
Yeah, that's probably going to be about our max because of the questions and so forth.
Okay.
So yeah, you know, we used, I mean, here we do about 12 is our max. Then we'll just schedule another class. But I mean, you know, if we had 1 or 2 extras, not going to be a big difference. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
If for some reason anybody on here can't email Dino and would like more information, feel free to put your email address in the chat board, or if you don't want to share it with everyone, you can send it to me directly, Rob Manriquez, and I'll make sure Dino gets your email address.
All right, we have any other questions for Dino? Right, we got something popping up here. Robert Mitchell, I have 2 men with Class A permits ready to take the driving exam. Do they have to take the theory class and exam before they go take the driver exam?
If the permit is dated before February 7th, they do not have to do the theory class. Everything will be grandfathered. If it's dated February 7th or past, then they must, well, then they sneak by the DMV and got the permit. So I would assume that if they have a permit in their possession, it was before February 7th.
Okay.
Hey, Dino, I think I'm gonna give up my my Class A license. Maybe I'll sell it to somebody.
Great. Good luck with that.
You know, we're recording this meeting, right, Rudy?
I know.
We just have to edit.
You know, it's funny you say that. I was training in Los Angeles, a student, and a gentleman came up to our truck and told our student, "Do you want a license for that truck?" He was going to give him one on the spot. Oh, yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, I think after 30 some years, I think I'm finally gonna let it go. This summer. Yeah,
You never know. You might want to go on the road.
I'm done driving.
You're done driving. I don't blame you.
Oh,
Yeah, now if you do, whenever your license expires, that's when you kind of want to drop it. I mean, you can drop it anytime, but if you do it before that, you'll have to pay a fee.
oh, really?
So, yeah, so I always tell guys, whenever your expiration comes, say, look, I don't want it. And it'll be part of your renewal at that time.
So that means you gotta keep up your medical?
No, as a matter of fact, the medical, if your medical is not current, you still have a CDL, but you cannot drive until you get a current medical.
Okay, all
So
right.
you don't lose your CDL at all. It's just that until you get another one, the day you have that physical completed, turned into Sacramento, now you're eligible to drive again.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can't drive without a medical.
Nice. Okay.
We have another question from Andy. The theory and BTW training are required to take the CDL skills test to get your license, but you can obtain your permit before complete any ELDT. Is that correct?
You can complete your training.
You can obtain your permit before completing any ELDT.
Not after February 7th. I mean, you could do the training with us, and have that done, or anybody else through in-house. But if it's after February 7th and they're going to go get their permits, they are required to the ELDT requirements through the training providers. So it's either the theory or the behind the wheel. They will be required to do that.
My
I mean, if you
understanding,
did in-house training and got them ready, that's fine. But they won't issue a license until you go through the steps.
my understanding is that the federal law says that you can do that, get your permit before you have the test, but California does not let you.
Yes, California. I'm basically going through all the California rules and regs. Other states have different rules, which I don't really follow all the others. It's like the hours of behind the wheel training. We're the only state that requires the behind the wheel training time. Everyone else, it's based on proficiency, as it's been for many years. The DOT talked about this for years and had meetings, and the conclusion was one driver might pick it up in 5 days, one driver might pick it up in 7 days. So there really is no set number, but I don't know how California, did what they did, but that is the requirement for California.
I have a question that often gets asked over here on my end. There's a couple guys getting ready to retire, and they currently have Class B licenses, but they don't need them after they retire. So how would they go about letting them go? Do they just let it go and it converts back to a Class C license, or do they have to go to the DMV and have to take an exam to convert it back to a Class C license?
You would have to go to DMV, because if you have a current, because what they do also, if you have no tickets or accidents within the time frame that you've had your period, they will grandfather your license. So your B will be automatically renewed. B or A will be automatically renewed. If you want to remove the commercial license, you have to physically go to the DMV and sign up to remove that and say, I only want to maintain my Class C.
I can actually
They
talk.
don't, you don't have to do drive.
Sorry, I can actually talk
I'm sorry,
about
go ahead.
this. I just did it recently. I had a commercial a Class A driver's license, and I basically forego of that license to go to a Class C because of the position that I hold now. I don't need it. And I actually had to sign a document saying at the DMV saying that I was letting go of my Class A license, and if I was ever to wanting to take my commercial license back again, that I would have to do all the procedures again. Also, at the same time, I had to take the Class C license test that same day. So they don't just give you the Class C. I actually had to take the Class C, which I wasn't prepared for, and there was a lot of questions that were very, very different.
Yes,
So I
yes.
passed on the third time, but I passed.
Caught you by surprise.
So
Yes,
Jose,
and also,
I wasn't ready for that. So I can speak a little bit on that. Yes.
yeah,
so they make you
It-
take your Class C exam then, right, Jose, is what you're saying?
That's correct. The Class
Yeah.
C. You have to take the Class C.
and that's the inconsistencies of the DMV. You send 3 guys, 2 guys will have to take it, 1 guy won't. It's
Yeah,
just
and
the person at the desk.
that's the problem on my end, Dino, because these guys they're older gentlemen, they want to retire already, so they don't want to go take another exam, you know, they don't want to have to go
Yeah.
take an eye exam. Imagine have to take Class C test again. They're gonna say, screw that, I don't want to go do it, you know, so
Right,
I
right.
mean, you know, but they don't want to hold that Class B license anymore, you know, so it's kind of like you know.
Yeah, and also if when they do make you take that exam, if you happen to have a motorcycle endorsement, you will have to take both of them. But the good news on the Class C, you only have to take half of the test.
Okay.
So you don't have to take the whole thing. So you're only taking half of it.
Oh, wow, that's at least some good news, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool. Okay, I'll pass that information on. Thank you, Dino.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is Andy O'Brien. I had the question earlier. I just wanted to clarify the answer. So in California, you have to complete the ELDT theory curriculum before you can go and take the written test to get your commercial learner's permit.
Yes, sir, that's correct. And it has to be taken to what they call a registered training provider. And the training provider registry, TPR, is they have lists of people that are, you know, that are on that list that you can go to. Or as I said, we have a third party now that we've been working with to get that done for you.
Okay. And then
Because,
once they
in
obtain the
my-
permit, then it's the behind the wheel that they have to complete, and it's 15
Right.
hours in California.
Minimum, yes, yeah, yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Is there anywhere there is no 30-hour requirement anywhere in the regs? It's 15
No.
for California.
Only California is that requirement. Everyone else, Arizona, everyone to New Jersey, they don't have to do that. It's strictly theory, from my understanding, or proficiency.
Yeah, no minimum hours.
One of the things I like about the training provider, because a lot of folks, I probably interviewed 25, 30 providers. Well, we're putting the program together, and I was a little skeptic about, you know, just going to some person and giving them $300, $400, $500, and, you know, is the program up to date? Is it working? Is, you know, so the folks that we have established a relationship with, like I said, they've been doing this 10 years. They do this for education boards and all types of training, so they're very well. They're very familiar with doing this type, and it's online, which I thought was the better way for the cities to, you know, they can do it at, you know, at home when they want, or, you know, you can do the hours that you want, an hour here, 2 hours there. So it's a little bit more flexible, I think, online.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I think that concludes it. If anybody else has any questions, anything comes to mind after this, Rob, put Dino's email address in the chat box, as well as mine, his and Jose's. We can be reached. We can pass on information to Dino back and forth. And then again, you guys have any interest in helping out with the conference? You guys interested in the golf tournament, April 29th? Please feel free to get a hold of us. Dino, I appreciate your time. Hopefully,
Thank you for the opportunity.
yeah, absolutely. It was good information. A lot of it was new to me, so thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate you guys attending. So enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day, gentlemen.
You too. Thank you.